My dear friends, you've already experienced that strange feeling that something was off without being able to put your finger on it. There she was, beautiful, charismatic, intelligent, and yet there was this emptiness, this inexplicable absence defying all logic. It was like a perfume too subtle to be truly perceived, yet strong enough to make you uneasy. You told yourself it was insecurity, jealousy, or a lack of affection, but no, it wasn't any of that. It was the ghost of every man who had come before you. And let me be clear. This isn't about moralism or puritanism. No, no, no. We're talking about psychological, biological, and emotional reality. The truth nobody wants to hear. The truth you discover only when you're already too involved to walk away unscathed. Because while you thought you were building something from nothing, she had already lived that exact same scenario with 10 other guys, maybe 20, maybe 50. And that, my friends, changes absolutely everything. But nobody told you that, did they? Because today, if you care about a woman's past, people call you fragile, insecure, controlling. That's what they keep telling you, right? Society wants you to feel ashamed for valuing what your biology demands. And the irony is, she knows it. She hides it too because deep down she knows the number matters, that the past weighs heavily. Every man she let in wasn't just a body, it was a piece of what she could have given you, now already exhausted. You'll never hear it from her mouth, never. She won't say to you, "I've slept with a lot of men and it changed the way I love." No. What you'll hear are carefully chosen phrases, beautifully worded, repeated so often they sound normal. But they're codes, signals, disguises. She won't show you her scars. She'll show you her tattoos and tell you it's art, that it represents experiences. But a scar is something else entirely. It's trauma, defense, limitation. And that's where the phrases start. Small, subtly repeated, almost innocent, but revealing a history she will never confess directly. Because confession would mean losing you, and she can't afford to be rejected for it anymore. When she says the number of partners is just a number, she's trying to erase the past with an emotional eraser. But numbers have consequences, my friends. They're not just digits, they're accumulated experiences, broken connections, devalued bonds. It's like taking a rose and giving it to 100 people before you. When it finally reaches you, it has no fragrance left, just the shape, just the appearance, but the essence has already evaporated. And still, you feel that unease. You sense something isn't quite right. She kisses you with technique but without soul. She lies beside you but her mind is elsewhere. She talks about love like it's a clothing brand, something you change when it wears out. You know what Nietzsche said? That modern man has lost the courage to look into the abyss of truth. And you are that man. You've been domesticated to accept emotional crumbs and call it a relationship. You've been trained to feel guilty for wanting what has always been just exclusivity, a real connection. A gaze that sees you as unique, not as a replacement. When she says, "Sex doesn't mean much to me," you should tremble. Because that, my friends, is the most dangerous phrase of all. Not because she feels nothing, but because she has felt so much with so many others that her body has learned to disconnect. That's the truth nobody tells you. The female brain, when making love, releases oxytocin, the attachment hormone. But when this connection is made and broken repeatedly, it breaks the system. It gives up on forming bonds. It gets used to the void and starts confusing freedom with coldness, independence with trauma. You think you're with a strong woman, but you're with a broken one who learned to use strength as a mask. She gives you her body, but not her soul. She smiles, but is absent. She tells you she doesn't get attached, but it's because she can't anymore. She'll never admit that her past affected everything. She'll tell you she learned from every experience, that she regrets nothing. Of course she does. Regret requires humility, and humility is the first thing to die when a woman convinces herself she will never be judged. She romanticizes each ex like a teacher, but you don't receive wisdom, my friends. You receive the debris left after she burned every emotional bridge she might have built one day. And you feel it, don't you? Each kiss feels like déjà vu of something she already lived. Each touch is technically rehearsed. There's no discovery, no magic, just performance. Because after many men, love becomes a technique, tenderness becomes a tool, giving becomes theater. Do you want to know the worst part? When she says everyone has a past, what she really wants is a future that ignores her past. She wants you to be the man who forgives what she hasn't even recognized as a mistake. She wants you to love a version of her that no longer exists, or perhaps never existed at all. And if you accept that, you become complicit in an emotional farce. She'll test you, throw her phrases like hooks hoping you bite. And if you do, she knows she can control the narrative. She can use you as redemption, as a consolation prize.
But you're not that. You are a man, and men who respect themselves don't accept being shadows of someone else's past.
When she says, it was just a phase, understand this. That phase shaped who she is. It wasn't a slip-up, it was a repeated choice, nurtured. Now, when the consequences arrive, she wants to rewrite the story. A new title without changing the content. She doesn't want a partner, she wants a new beginning. But new beginnings don't erase histories. They only hide scars still bleeding inside. You must understand one thing, and understand it deeply. A woman who has been with many men does not see you as an exception. She may pretend, she may repeat that now it's different, but all of that is part of the theater she's rehearsed hundreds of times. You are not the first she's tried to convince of this. You're just the next to be tested. And the tests begin early. You know when she says, I just love my freedom. That's not freedom, my friends. That's escape. Escape from the past, from commitment, from herself. True freedom is knowing how to choose, how to say yes, and how to say no. But what she calls freedom is the inability to maintain any deep connection without feeling suffocated. She has already associated intimacy with loss of control. She learned that attachment brings pain and detachment brings power. She doesn't want to be with you. She wants the sensation of being able to leave whenever she wants. She wants to have you without possessing you, and she wants you to accept that as maturity. But that's not maturity. It's unresolved trauma. Have you noticed that these phrases always come with a calm expression, a slight smile, a disconcerting tranquility? That's because she's practiced it. She learned to hide emotional collapse behind a social mask. Jung talked about it, the persona, the facade we use to navigate the world while our true self rots behind it. The woman who lived too much, without filter, without criteria, without purpose, she's not free, my friends. She's a prisoner of superficial experiences, broken promises, empty contacts. And now, when time asks her for accounts, when her eyes don't shine like before, when youth no longer protects her as much, she seeks a man who will save her from herself. But she doesn't call you a savior. She calls you a companion, a partner, an equal. And if you lack discernment, you'll think it's love, but it's desperation. She wants you to be what all the others weren't, but she doesn't want to become a woman worthy of what you offer. She wants the reward without the effort. She wants love without sacrifice, and she wants you to believe you're receiving her best version. When she says, I don't attach easily, as if it's a virtue, as if it's a sign of strength. But listen to the subtext, my friends. What she's saying is, I gave myself so many times, I broke myself so many times, that now I don't know how to feel anymore. That's not strength. It's emotional numbness. You won't be the man who awakens that in her, no matter how hard you try, no matter how much you love. What is dead doesn't resurrect with flowers, and you are not a gardener of souls. You are a man. Men aren't meant to resurrect anyone. They're meant to walk alongside those who are alive inside. Dostoevsky said, "Suffering reveals a man." And you, my brother, are reading this because you've already suffered too much. You've already given yourself to women who didn't know how to receive. You've already been faithful to those who only knew how to compare. You invested everything in those who only knew how to consume. And now, you're tired, exhausted, because you started realizing the game is rigged, that the dice have been thrown against you. And you want to know why? Because you were taught to ignore signs, to doubt your instincts, to believe that caution is wrong, that judgment is outdated, that demanding is machismo. But while you were being domesticated, they were learning how to hide, how to manipulate, how to use sweet words to conceal harsh truths. I've learned from every experience, she says. But what she learned is how to negotiate better, how to deceive more subtly, how to hide clues more skillfully. Her learning wasn't moral, it was strategic. Because in a world where appearance is worth more than essence, the woman who lies well is the one who wins. She doesn't need to convince you with proof. It's enough that you doubt yourself. It's enough that you feel shame for asking the right questions. And so you lower your guard. You give yourself. And when you realize it, you're already playing the role she wrote for you, the redeemer, the emotional therapist, the man who will heal what everyone else broke. But you are not here to heal anyone, my friends. You are here to shed illusions. You must look her in the eyes and truly see what's hiding behind that gaze. The need disguised as independence, the coldness dressed in maturity, the repetition disguised as experience. Yes, maybe she slept with many men. Maybe she loved none of them. Or maybe she loved them all a little. But it matters, because she's not a blank page. She's a journal already written. And if you don't have the courage to read between the lines, you'll just be another forgotten note. Do you really want to know how many men she had before you? It's not necessary, my friends. Just listen. The body betrays. The way she looks, speaks, touches, everything reveals. The past leaves a scent. And even if she sprays a new perfume, you can smell the staleness of what's been overlived, overgiven, over-trivialized. When she says sex doesn't mean much to her, she's not freeing you. She's offering herself without a soul. She's telling you you can enter, but you won't find anyone inside. And you accept that. Do you really want to be just one more? Or do you want something real? But beware. Truth comes at a cost. It costs solitude. It costs saying no when everything inside you wants to say yes. It costs staying alone when convenience is available. It costs rebuilding your value away from feminine validation. It costs looking in the mirror and admitting you were deceived because you wanted to be deceived, because it was easier to believe those phrases were true than to accept you were just another name on her list. Do you know what angers me the most, my brother? That when you finally realize all of this, the world blames you again. The very woman who used you, lied to you, hid things, she'll look you in the eye and say it's your fault, that you're macho for caring about what she did, that you judge, that you need to evolve, that the problem is you. And maybe for a second, you'll believe it. But no, the problem isn't you. The problem is that you were trained to accept the unacceptable. You were taught that loving a woman means ignoring her signals, that being a man means being an emotional robot who feels nothing, thinks nothing, questions nothing, who simply accepts, provides, protects, even when she's not worth protecting. Look again. Look calmly. Remember the one who said, "I'm not the type to get attached." She said it smiling, confidently, but inside, she was empty because she gave herself so many times that now she only knows how to run. You thought she was difficult, mysterious, independent, but she was just emotionally drained. She burned out the circuits of her soul with the mistakes she made, and now she wants you to pay the bill. And the worst part? You pay. You give attention, tenderness, time, all the things others only used for one night. You offer structure to an emotional house already demolished from within. And then you think the problem is you, that you need to try harder, love more, understand more. But no, my brother, you just need to see. Stop romanticizing the ruins. You know what Schopenhauer said? Women are like mirrors. They reflect what the man wants to see, but they have nothing more. They conform to your expectations until they get what they want, and then they turn inward. and you realize too late you were used as a means, a bridge, a healing, a consolation prize. She said you were different. You remember that. But she said that to everyone, because that's the only way the game works, convincing you you're not just one more, but you are, you were, and you will be if you don't open your eyes. And now maybe you ask, is there no hope? Are there no women worth the pain? There are, my friends, but they are rare. And probably they're not in nightclubs, they're not on apps, they're not among those preaching freedom while hiding their regret. She is silent, because those who have substance don't need to shout. But until you find her, you must learn to filter. And the filter isn't physical. It's not beauty, not talk, not presentation. It's emotional history. Listen carefully, observe patterns, what she says, how she says it, and especially what she avoids saying. Every woman who has slept with many men leaves traces, not numbers, but signs. Phrases, reactions, defenses, indifference, mood instability, unjustified anger, fear of commitment, difficulty trusting, or, ironically, exaggerated trust as someone forcing intimacy too quickly. She can have a charming smile. She can say she changed, that she matured. But if the past shaped her present, it will leak, it will flow between the lines. You just need to learn how to see. And when you see, don't negotiate your values, don't rationalize what your instinct screams at you, don't accept less just because you're lonely. Loneliness is the shortest path to ruin. You've seen this before, haven't you? You've felt that inexplicable anxiety when you slept with a woman and woke up next to an emotional abyss. You looked at her and felt unseen, just another face, another body, another chapter. And still, you stayed, thinking that with time she'd change, that with love she'd feel again. But those who desensitize themselves through promiscuity rarely find their way back to pure feelings. It's like a man smelling a strong perfume every day. Over time, he loses sensitivity. He needs stronger and stronger scents until nothing excites him anymore. Nothing moves him. And that's who she is now, a woman who had so much she can no longer savor the little. What you offer, consistency, respect, connection, is exactly what she no longer knows how to value. She doesn't betray you with another man, she betrays you with the past she insists on denying. And that's why you must rise, my friends, not to yell at her, not to seek revenge for what they did to you, but to break free from this cycle, to understand that your pain has a name, that your unease has a reason, that your intuition, the one you learned to ignore, is more right than ever. You are not weak for wanting exclusivity. You are strong for saying no to someone who said yes too often. You are not insecure for caring about the past. You are lucid. You are not toxic for seeking a real connection. You are a man, a real man.
And the whole world can mock you, call you bitter, controlling, macho. But at the end of the night, it's those very same people who lie on their pillow and feel the same emptiness you spent so long trying to deny. You are not alone, my friends. We are waking up. And when a man wakes up, there are no more repeated phrases deceiving him. No more pretty smiles blinding him, no more bodies seducing him. Because now, he doesn't just seek pleasure. He seeks truth, soul, real value. And for a woman who has been too superficial for too long, that is something she can no longer give you. Now you know, now you see. And once you see, you can never unsee.